G'day legends, it's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here. Before we get stuck into another great interview brought to you by Crannk.com and that metalstation.com, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, and that way you can keep up to date with all the best music and interviews from all over the world. Hey, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here with Crannk.com and with that metalstation.com. And today I'm getting to have a chat with John from Maledictis, whose latest single, Delicta, comes out 4th of March, depending where you are. Tomorrow, the next day, depending where you are in the world, is where it's dropping. It's a ripping single, and it actually gave me a chance to dive back and check out that debut self-titled EP. I don't know how I missed that, man, but it's an amazing release, and it's good to get to have a chat with you about it all.
Yeah, I'm really happy that I'm here.
Yeah. First off, man, I'm interested in how did this all start? Where did this come from? Because it's quite obvious that this isn't your first step into music. You've been around for quite a while, no doubt, doing what you do. But can you give me a little bit of a brief history of kind of what you've been doing leading up to Maledictis and how the band kind of started?
Sure. Well, in 2020, there was the COVID-19 and the lockdowns and pandemic, quarantining, and I just figured that was a good opportunity to try to work remotely with musicians instead of the typical band practice and a bunch of people collaborating in one room together. I figured, well, maybe this is a good chance to write things and email back and forth and then try to edit together something, and figured, if it was bad, everyone would forgive it for being that way, because that's the best we can do with email and home studios. And a lot of people on it actually recorded their parts with just their cell phone because they didn't have any recording equipment. So and I think it turned out all right. But leading up to that, I had been in some bands before that, some punk bands, a symphonic metal band for a while, pop rock stuff. Nothing that really ever got huge or anything like that. But I had a background with symphonic metal. So.
Yeah, so leading into it and it's starting like this, how were you able to get these artists together? You know what I mean? Like, as you're saying, some were recording it on the phone. That would have been a fun process trying to compile that into, mix it and get it ready for the track as well. But first off, can you tell me a little bit about how you got the artists on board? And you've got Mariangela Demurtas, is an amazing vocalist. She's got the Tristania stuff she works with, and Ardurs, and just she's got an amazing voice.
Yeah, I'm just a huge fan of her. I love Ardurs and Tristania, and her new solo album is awesome. And I'm just a big fan of hers. So when I reached out to her, it was just like a, forgive the pun, but a Hail Mary pass. It was hey, I been listening to you nonstop while I was been writing music. Is there any way you'd sing on this? And she's like, well, that depends. Let me hear it first.
Yeah, when COVID hit, was this secretly you were like, man, this sucks, and we all know this was a very bad time, but did you also think, man, everyone's locked at home now, it's probably the best time to start hitting some people up and doing something that kind of you wanted to do and make something, totally where you had the creative control and get everyone, onto this?
Yeah, I thought it was a good opportunity to try something that was a little different. A band is typically a bunch of people that all live in the same town or can commute to the same place to rehearse and practice and go on tour all together at the same time. And I thought, well, during quarantining here, it's like no one expects that of you. So why not have a singer 2,000 miles away? And why not have, people who maybe they're not full-time musicians, but on the side they can record something and email it to me and I can put it together. So I reached out to a lot of people that I just knew not necessarily in like a musical context, or not like in a rock band context, like uh I had been a wedding videographer for several years, and um it was just to pay the bills. And I had met some musicians that would like perform at weddings, and I like there was a violinist, Stephanie, and she was a really good violinist from these weddings. So I emailed her, and we don't live in the same city or anything. And I was like, would you record some violin parts, at home and send them to me? And she's like, sure. So at that point, the project was kind of like, I was just trying to do everything at home with like synthesizers and MIDI and program music. And it was really, it sounded like a video game. I wasn't like super into the synthy sounds of it. And I said, well, hey, maybe we can just replace this violin, and maybe that'll make it sound like real. And she sent me these violin tracks, and I was like, okay, we got to do this for all the tracks now, because that just it raised it to this whole new level, just going from the keyboard violin to the real violin.
Real violin. Yeah, it
And
had an amazing sound to it. I got to admit, I was blown away. I was like, and I didn't
thank you.
get, and like I heard it the first time, and I'm like, wow. And then I went back through again, and it's like anything, you listen to it over and over again, and you're able to pick up little bits and pieces. And the orchestration on this was unreal on that EP. But then with this latest single, you's also, as I see, the choir of cellos there, and the horns of just the flute, just everything. It was, for me, I love symphonic metal. I love the different sounds to it as well, and it's not just straight up blah blah blah. You know what I mean? It's just got all these different layers to it as well. And then with Mariangela's vocals, it's just it really is an amazing release. It would have been fun for you putting it together, but it probably would have taken a hell of a lot of time getting all this going, eh?
Oh, well, this song took like a year to record, just the one song. And I mean, it was kind of like we got the ball rolling when we thought that everything was over with the COVID-19, and that it was getting nice out in 2021, and we thought, oh good, this is all coming to an end, we don't need masks anymore, maybe we can get together with some people locally, rather than like with the EP, it was very international, people all across the world. But I was like, well, maybe I kind of want more of that band feeling, where it's a bunch of people that I know and see in person. But then we ended up having to lock ourselves in our houses again anyways. So we did get some recording in, various times throughout the year. And we used some like Gothic churches to record in, which really got this awesome ambience to it. I was really trying to go for like a churchy sound, but when I say churchy, I mean like just, that's what I think of when I think of like Gothic, is I think of like these church tones, church ambience, reverbs, instrument. Like I'm always afraid to say symphonic, because I feel like people are going to think like Epica or Nightwish, and it's like, well, I'm not really doing that. I just have these symphony instruments that you might typically hear inside of a Gothic cathedral. And so I'm saying it's Gothic, and I'm saying it's symphonic, but I always feel a little bit nervous painting this picture of symphonic metal, because it doesn't necessarily match up to, I think, what a lot of people might expect for that genre.
Yeah, and I kind of secretly got to admit, man, I love classical music as well, and listening to the symphonies and things like that as well. I'll put it on the classical music station at times and just listen to that. And for me, it kind of, I love that sound. So for listening to something like this and the symphonic metal, as you put it, yes, it's not all, as you're saying, like the Epica, it's not like that, but it just has this amazing sound that creates something different as well. I like to hear something different with my music.
Sure. Well, hey, I really appreciate that you like it.
So with the single coming out tomorrow, where's the best place people can head along and kind of grab it? I notice up on Bandcamp. Is that the best place at the moment for people to get along and purchase music?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. If Bandcamp is a good website for the country you're in, I don't know if it is for everybody,
Have
but
you got a website? I think you
oh
do,
yeah,
don't you?
yeah,
Maledictis.com.
.net, .net.
Dot net. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was over there having a little bit of a look at that before this morning as well. So
Oh, cool.
it pays to have that. It's always good to get those streaming cycles, but it's always good when someone goes over and buys the album. Do you have any
Yeah.
physicals at the moment, or is it just all digitals at the moment?
So we had ran like a Kickstarter campaign to
Yep.
crowdsource, and we did like a limited number
Yep,
of
cool.
CDs and shirts just for Kickstarter backers.
That's cool.
But we ended up having like an odd number, and like so the number of CDs I had to make was more than the number of people that were getting one. So there will be some on the Bandcamp site that are just kind of like leftovers. So those are really going to be limited and out of print immediately, kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's really cool. Those Kickstarters and those Patreons where artists get along and really, really support, because it's hard for people. Like, I know it is hard for people to go, where's the best place? Because I know everyone wants to get along and support, and it's hard for people to go, oh, where's the best place that I can support an artist I like? So when I see people getting along and supporting those kind of campaigns, the Kickstarter campaigns and the Patreons and that for artists, it's really encouraging. And I'm sure for you as an artist, having people go along and support you as it kind of started out as well would have really lit that fire in your belly. As much work as it would have been, like, wow, it's good to have this support.
Yeah, I've always liked crowdfunding sites, not like not like to beg for money, but like to say, like, well, for a couple things. Like, one, it's like I'm kind of want to gauge the demand to a certain degree. It's like, I don't want, should I make 100 CDs or should I make 2,000 CDs, and I don't want to be sitting on a whole bunch of unsold stuff. So it's really nice to say, here are the rewards that I plan to make, like CDs and shirts and stickers and downloads and LPs or vinyls, and then see who wants that, and then you actually get like a good idea of what to make and what to order, and almost like just like a way to pre-order things just really far in advance. And it's also like I'm really lazy about marketing. Like I'm not great at it, and it's really easy to be like, hey everyone, just go to this one website, order what you want, the downloads, the CDs, the shirts, just go to the one site and put your money there, and then then that's it. And as soon as the Kickstarter ends, then it's like, okay, you can go on Spotify, or you can go to Bandcamp, or you can go to, wherever. And it's just it's a lot more, it's a lot easier to like put all my attention into one marketing process, which is just go to the Kickstarter page, But yeah, now's the hard part, where the Kickstarter is over and we actually have to promote the official release. So
yeah, cutting through a lot of that white noise, and getting your music out to the right ears and the right people as well, because there's so much bloody music out there too. It's that's the fun bit of it all. It's, you can make a great album, but when it falls on deaf ears, it's not really getting to where you want to be. So, as you said, having that Kickstarter campaign kind of gauges it as well. And when you said that finishes, then boots to the ground. And by the looks of it, it's going to go pretty good for you. It's got a great sound. And like, if people are just checking out this single, go back and check out that debut self-titled EP. It's an absolute ripper. So what's your plans going forward with this, John? Like, where do you see yourself going with this band? Is this something you're going to work on like slowly over the next few years, or what do you want to do with this all, dude?
I think like as much as I've enjoyed this process, I tend to miss aspects of like being in a real band, and I feel like when the opportunities to present themselves, that where I can work with somebody locally and be in the same room as them and bounce ideas off of each other, not just an email, but like in the same room, I'm probably going to go in that direction. So I'm thinking this might become more of like a traditional band.
Yeah.
And there's been kind of a revolving door of people working on it.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people that would say like I'm a member of it or anything like that. So it kind of gives me the flexibility to maybe make more of a permanent lineup in the future.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I miss those aspects of it. But I also really like that this isn't like as it isn't a traditional band. There isn't like a demand to tour. There isn't a
Yeah.
demand to be putting out a new full length album every year. It's kind of like I just do whatever I want to do, and I really like that. So
Yeah, that must be
um
good for you to have that flexibility. And that's what I love about the underground scene with artists. You kind of can have the flexibility to do what you want. You can have, if you want, have a lineup of live artists that you're going to work with, but you can also do albums where I've seen people have had guest and session
yeah.
artists come in and things like that. It's kind of a totally open book up to you where you want to go. And that must be the exciting bit about it as well.
Yeah. Like if it was a traditional band, there's no way that like Mariangela was going to be singing on it, you know. But I can also do something that's kind of a hybrid in the middle too, you know. So
Yeah.
I got plenty of options, and I would love to keep like putting out new singles. Maybe not ones that take an entire year to make. But I think if I keep putting out singles and EPs and then eventually maybe I can do like combine some of that to do like a full length.
Full length.
Yeah, I feel like some people want a full length, and
Yeah.
some people just don't care at all about full lengths. Like they just want singles.
I know it's a funny time, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Some
don't.
people are happy where they can just grab one track and off the album and one off
Yeah,
there. And I've been guilty of doing it, but for me, it just probably comes down to my age as well. That I love when I'd go and I'd grab an album when I was younger, a CD tape, and I'd listen to the whole
yeah,
thing, you know what I mean? And yeah, some tracks you probably gravitate to more one week and then another one a different week. But going on that journey with the artist as well, the songwriter, the collaborator, the instrumentation from start to finish,
yeah,
you know what I mean? When people put that effort into making that album and you hear that album, you go on the journey with a musician as well. It's an experience that some people are kind of missing out who do just grab the singles here and there as well.
yeah. I think that if I do a full length, I really like the idea of it being one story
Yeah.
to tell over several songs, you know. And but I think the way I've been going is that every song I write is very independent of every other song. And it's like if it was a book, each chapter could be read standalone, and you could read the book out of order and it would be fine. So I think if I get to the point where I'm composing a book that needs to be read in order, that's the time for a full length. So but I don't know. I've been thinking about maybe doing like a cover song too.
Yeah,
I
that'd
think
be
that would
cool.
be fun, and I got some ideas. I would if I did it, I would want to redo something and make it very different than the original, and
Yeah.
I'd have to do some research to make sure that like no one else has done the song already though, because I wouldn't want to run the risk of not doing it as good. So
Yeah, that would be really, really cool. Okay, and look, just throwing it out there, since we're talking covers, if you had to pick any Aussie artist to do a cover of, dude, who would you go with, man?
any artist?
Yeah, any Aussie one, Australian artist.
Let's see. Well, I love Silverchair.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm the same age as Daniel Johns, and so like when I was a teenager listening to Nirvana and then Silverchair came out, I was like, oh, this guy's like me but just better than me, you know. And so like I formed a rock band, and Silverchair was just a better version of what I was doing. And then I started incorporating like symphonic instruments, pianos and violins, and then he started doing that in Silverchair, and I was like, oh, it's just like what I'm trying to do but better, you know. And then he got like the full orchestra sounds a couple albums later, and he was doing this really like emotional, depressed stuff, and I'm like, that's what I'm doing, but he's doing it better, And like Neon Ballroom's like one of my favorite albums ever, and I know it's not metal, but it's like
I've got that album. It's I love Silverchair as well. I was just on, no doubt, on the same age, around the same age as you. Sounds like I'm 42 this year. I was the same. Nirvana, Silverchair, and Pearl Jam posters was kind of like that. That's kind of based my metal beginnings as well into who I am, and no doubt who you are today as well.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of Silverchair stuff that I thought was pretty metal.
Yeah,
and but it was labeled, as grunge or alternative, and it was like, this is a heavy riff. This is super heavy. And the dude is like playing these heavy riffs and screaming. And it's like, when are we going to cross the line and say it's okay that this is metal? But, it was always something. And then he got very creative and artsy. And I mean, I admire Daniel Johns quite a bit. And he got something new coming out that I don't know anything about, and I'm pretty excited. So
yeah, I've seen that as well. It will be good. Look, this has been an absolute pleasure to get to chat with you, John. Everyone, Delicta comes out the 4th. Go jump over, grab that self-titled album as well. It is an absolute ripper. Do you have any last words, shout outs, or thank yous you'd like to add in there, my friend?
I'd just like to thank you for having me on here. It's been great talking to you, and I hope your listeners dig it. And thank you so much.
Thank you, man. You take it easy. An absolute pleasure. Cheers, mate.
Take care.
Yeah.